Welcome. In this video I'm going to show you how you can obtain Johnston-Berry-Mielke E using R and my stikpetR library. I'm using Jupyter Lab with an R kernel, currently running R version, we'll see later, 4.3. But this should also work in, for example, R Studio, or at least the R code should. Johnston-Berry and Mielke E is an effect size measure that could be used with a goodness of fit test or a likelihood ratio goodness of fit test, so either chi-square or likelihood ratio, also referred to as a g-test sometimes. It can also be converted to Cohen W, and that's interesting because then you can use the rules of thumb for the interpretation of Cohen W. Although some will say that you will actually need to never use these kind of rules of thumb, and it depends on the field, etc. But without other knowledge, they might actually be useful. To show you how this can be obtained, I'll use the General Social Survey data from 2012, adjusted for some example purposes. I actually don't need all of its data, I just need one nominal field, so I'm going to be using the MAR1, which is actually the marital status. To give you a quick impression, the table function can show the frequency for each category, so for example 79 people indicated that they were separated. Now my library is unfortunately not available on CRAN, so you will need to use DevTools to install it from my GitHub account. Once you've installed it, you should be able to load it just as any other library. Now, for the function of interest in this video, we actually need some kind of test results. I have separate videos on how to obtain those test results. I actually don't need to load the library again, of course. But for example, a Pearson goodness of fit test, I feed it the nominal field, and in those test results, there will actually be the test statistic. So that's going to be the chi-square value, the minimum expected count, and also the sample size. So we can actually get all of those. Those are needed as input, and we can also indicate if the test was either chi-square test or a g-test, because depending on that, the calculation for JBME should be slightly different. Now in this case it was a chi-square test, so I don't need to specify that. I just need the chi-square value, the sample size, and the minimum expected count. And it turns out to be 0.16. Now I can convert this to Cohen W using the ES_convert function from the chi-square value, the JBME for chi-square. And then from JBME to Cohen W, and it also requires the minimum expected count, but as a proportion, so divided by the total sample size. So Cohen's W is 0.80, and we can use the rules of thumb for Cohen W under TH Cohen W, and in this case it's apparently large, according to Cohen, page 227. For a g-test, it's very similar. You just run a g-test, for example, with TSG goodness of fit. It's actually nominal field. I changed this, so otherwise it won't work. And also that will give us the test statistic, the minimum expected count, and then we can actually just feed all that information. The sample size stays the same. It's actually also in the output if you really wanted it. And we can convert that as well, but to a Cohen W. Just make sure when you're doing the JBME that you now indicate it's a g-test. And it's still actually large. Alright, I hope this was useful, and thank you for watching.